Just as the snows begin melting from the roadsides, many amphibians begin their journey to breed and lay eggs.
Pick her up and give her a hand. Hi, my name is Jimmy Andrews and I'm a herpetologist. I've been studying reptiles and amphibians in Vermont now for about 15 years. And you may be wondering why I'm sitting out here on the edge of a dirt road near a swamp on a rainy night in early April. These nights are particularly important for blue-spotted, spotted, four-toed, redback, peepers, and a host of other amphibians. Let's go look for some of the species. What we're doing is we're trying to monitor the numbers of these species that are crossing this little bottleneck of habitat that we have right here. To my left, we have a large swamp, a large red maple cedar swamp. In this direction, we have a large upland deciduous woodlands. And the amphibians are moving from those woodlands down across this road and then down into the swamp. And these folks out here are finding those amphibians and identifying the amphibians and helping them across the road. And then we're keeping track of the numbers. And over a period of years, we're hoping to find out whether we're maintaining a stable population at this particular site. This is not a very busy road. We may see a car every hour, and that car may kill one or two amphibians. But on a busier road, that could be quite an issue. Enough amphibians could actually be killed so that the population over time would disappear. And that is a serious issue that we're concerned about. Let's see, here's a little blue-spotted salamander. Very dark background, almost black, with light blue spots along the side. That's pretty typical, fairly narrow head, rounded snout. It's one of the mole salamanders. It's a subterranean salamander that lives under the ground most of the year and then pops up out of the ground this time of year to move down into lowland swamps like this to lay its eggs. What we're doing is, here's somebody. Let's take a quick look here. Here we have a nice big spotted salamander, nice big adult, probably a female, looks pretty chunky, full of eggs, and a little blue spotted. These guys are relatives. They're both mole salamanders. They both live under the ground most of the year. At this particular site, we generally see more of the blue spotteds, but this salamander, this big one, the spotted, is really far more common and far more widespread in the state. There's just people all around the state who do this same sort of thing, and they generally find spotteds and wood frogs. But here we find some fairly unusual species, four-toads and blue spotteds, and some fairly unique species. Here's a four-toad. Very slender, delicate little salamander. There's two slender, delicate little salamanders that we could see here. One is this type, the four-toed. The other is the redback salamander. The four-toed actually is a pretty rare salamander, and we find more of this species here than we do anywhere else in the Northeast combined. If you turn it over, you see bright white with black spots. That's a great identification mark, that bright white belly, glossy white belly. I'll move this guy across the road. Here's a little peeper, spring peeper. I don't know if you can hear them in the distance. They're calling down into the swamp. Peepers have this nice black line on the side that comes right up through the eye to the nose. And you can also see a pattern on the back. Usually it's a distinct X. This is full size. This is an adult peeper. No dorsolateral ridges. X on his back. Actually this bar between the eyes. He goes. And then the wood frog. Dorsolateral ridges. No X. So let's help this guy across so that he doesn't get counted by somebody else, doesn't get run over. Clearly we can't expect people to continually get out there on every night that amphibians have to cross roads and help them across the roads. So the goal over the long term has to be to generate an interest and an awareness of this situation and an appreciation of this particular group, amphibians, and then get to the point where we can design roads that amphibians can either get over or under safely. And there are certainly ways to do that. There are underpasses and overpasses and extended bridges and crushed culverts. And the technology will evolve. It will take some time before we figure out exactly how to do that best. But first, people need to be aware of the issue. And second, they need to be supportive of spending the money that it will cost, and it will cost some money, to design, fit, and retrofit roads so that amphibians can safely get across. This is a red-backed, eastern red-backed salamander. It's kind of an interesting thing that they're migrating at all, because they don't move to ponds to breed in the spring. They're just moving from an overwintering habitat down into the edge of the wetlands. These are one of the more active ones. They're harder to get your hands on. On the underside, we wouldn't see that bright white that we saw on the four-toed. We just see a mix of what I call salt and pepper, gray and white. Red back down the center, darker sides. The four-toed's really the only one that you would confuse it with. I'll move this guy across the road. So we've had a group of volunteers here tonight, ranging from 10 to 20 different people, helping us monitor these amphibians as they cross. And we'll head back and tally up the totals and look at how many amphibians of each species we saw cross here over the period of time, 2 hours that we were here tonight. And this particular crossing is one of many scattered around the state where people are doing the same thing. And folks across Vermont and across the country really are becoming more and more aware of the impacts of roads on wildlife and what we can do to minimize that impact.